Hello and welcome back to episode 6 of Premier League Prime Time. We're back again. This time it's the same old, the good old Fab Four, as always. My co-hosts here, brilliant again. How are all three of you doing today?
Amazing, Davis. How are you?
I'm feeling quite superb myself. Let's get right into this. We have a lot to get through today. But first off, let's go to the first segment of today's show, and there were a couple quick and brief transfer updates, or a couple of transfers that did happen that I wanted to mention, in case they had any relevancy to any reviewers. Starting off with the first one, serious. Danny Welbeck, an ex-Manchester United, ex-Arsenal, ex-Watford striker, signs for Brighton, an English international. He knows the Premier League. He's been in the league for a long time. How do you think Danny Welbeck will improve Brighton?
I think he can help it a little bit. Obviously he's had injuries throughout his career. I feel like his one problem was that, along with his finishing, his pace, power, strength. I think he could have done well at Arsenal. He had a couple of big goals. I think he can add a little bit something. If honestly, if he stays fit, I think he can do something with them.
Yeah, it makes a good point there. And Brighton are already thin in the striker department as is. They have Neil Mopai, Aaron Connolly. But other than that, they really don't have a really well recognized striker than that. And I think Danny Welbeck could add something to that side. And Sirius, staying with you, Crystal Palace made two signings. First off, Nathaniel Klein, English right back who former Liverpool, Southampton player, signs on a free. And Jack Butland, the English goalkeeper from Stoke City, signs for £1 million plus add-ons. Sirius, what do you think these two players could bring to Crystal Palace?
I think they're two positive signings. Obviously, Nathaniel Klein, I think when he was at Southampton, he was pretty good. I remember as him and Luke Shaw, pretty good team. It's another player just been filled with injuries. Joining Liverpool didn't really have. I think he had maybe one good season, then just a bunch of injuries. So it's another player that if he can stay fit, he's a decent signing. I think for them it's good. And Jack Butland, coming from relegated teams, I think he can be a good signing. A couple of years ago, he was one of the best English goalies in the league.
Absolutely. So. And yeah, people haven't forgotten about that. At one point, it looked like he was going to take that spot from Joe Hart for that England #1 spot when Euro 2016 was getting closer and closer at that time. As you said, I think he's a great depth signing to have him, Jack Butland, and what's Crystal Palace's goalkeeper's name? Gaeta, something like that. Both of them decent goalkeepers. Yeah, I think it will give Roy Hodgson a nice little selection headache to have. Jose, going over to you, one of the biggest stars of the championship last year said Benrahma, if I said that right, probably didn't, signs initially on loan from Brentford for £25 million, but an obligation to buy at the end of the season for 30. How well do you think he could be for West Ham, or what do you think he could bring to West Ham?
I think this is a really good signing for them. I mean, he had 17 goals, 9 assists last season in the championship, and a lot of people are saying that he's way too good for the championship, and I definitely agree. He's really good with his feet. I think he's going to do really well in the Premier League, and he's especially with the departure of Felipe Anderson. I think it's going to be a really good signing for them.
Yeah, I agree. But Jose, do you think he will be able to start games? David Moyes definitely loves that front three: Mikel Antonio, Pablo Fornals, and Jared Bowen. Do you think he'd be competition, or do you think he walks right into that starting 11?
I think you can get him in. I think Fornals is also suited to playing in the middle, so you can move Fornals into the middle, into attacking midfield, and then he could play on the left, Benrahma.
All right. Well, you heard it here from Jose, but I think the only issue with that is that West Ham and David Moyes definitely love that midfield duo of Declan Rice and Tomas Souček, and those who definitely play well together. Whether David Moyes changes his formation to, I don't know, maybe a 3-4-1-2, make the two outside backs wingers, or maybe just get rid of Suchek, because they're not going to get rid of Declan Rice. Whether he just replaces Suchek, I don't think that will happen. But yeah, it will be, again, a nice little selection headache for David Moyes to have. And the last transfer update, Andre, going over to you. I have no idea how on earth Tottenham have secured another signing, considering the fact that you look at Spurs in the past and they don't really ever spend money. But Jose Mourinho, you know what you get with him. You know, you don't get Jose Mourinho in and not make signings. He demands signings. He demands improvements on that squad. And they have made another signing, Joe Rodon from Swansea City, a young Welsh centre back from Swansea, as I just said. Initial fee around 11 to 13 million pounds, and the final fee with add-ons rising to 15 to 20 million pounds. Andre, what will Joe Rodon bring to this Tottenham side?
I think he's been linked to a lot of big clubs. I think he's a talent. He's been really good for the Welsh national team, particularly against that match against England. He was pretty solid. In the end, I think he's one for the future. But with that said, I think he can still compete this season. I think he'll definitely add something to our defense. But yeah, Jose Mourinho has come out and said that even he was surprised by how much the board have backed him to get all these signings. I think at the beginning of the season, he said, don't expect us to sign 10 players. Well, we've gotten 7, pretty darn close. So I think he's beyond happy with the signings we've made. And I think once Skriniar fell apart, then I think it was necessary for us to bring another center back in. So Rodon, it's a good signing overall. It'll help us throughout the season.
Yeah, and he'll definitely fit in with his now Welsh teammates, Gareth Bale, who actually was fit for once. He actually was not in the medical room for once. And Ben Davies. Hopefully those two will help him settle in. And just saying with you, just a quick question on the center backs thing. Tottenham, for a lot of that offseason, were linked with a move to Kim Min-jae. Do you think Kim Min-jae would have suited Tottenham better than Rodon? If you had the choice between the two, who would you go with? Just want to hear your opinions on that.
Yeah, I mean, our market is huge in South Korea right now. We've just overtaken United as most popular club, and Korea most supported club. So I was excited to possibly bring in Kim Min-jae. I thought it'd be fun given that we have Heung-min Son. But at the end of the day, I don't know enough about the players to really debate who's more suited. I think it was more realistic to bring in Joe Rodon, and that's what we've done.
All right. Anyways, we are going to now leave our transfer segment behind, and we're going to go into our second segment of today's show, which is, of course, looking back at this past weekend's results. And I just want to say, out of all the weekends, I think in terms of just widespread, this has probably been the craziest weekend with some of the craziest results I've seen. Do all you agree with that? Because I for once, I've asked other people, and I certainly don't stand alone. I mean, this has been a crazy weekend, crazy match day with a lot of crazy games and stuff like that. And we're actually going to get right into this. And Sirius, going to you, the Merseyside derby, what a game that was. It was as I predicted. They drew. It was a draw. It was 2-2. Michael Keane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who can't stop scoring at the moment, scores for Everton, and Mane and Salah scoring for Liverpool, and Richarlison getting sent off. Couple questions about the game. Starting with my first one. In this game, how poor was the referee and VAR in your opinion? And does this game, change, improve, or confirm your stance on VAR?
I think kind of confirms my stance on VAR. Obviously, there's some positive things about VAR, but I think, especially in England, I feel like this is the reason why English refs weren't in the last World Cup. It's just because I think the English referees and people on VAR are just not good enough, to be honest. I feel like Richarlison's. I feel like it was a red card. I don't know about you guys. That's my opinion. I feel like the offside, it was kind of stupid. But the main point here is Virgil van Dijk. Wow. 8 months out.
Yeah, and that was actually going to go right into my next question, which I think is going to be pretty universal across the board. Do you think Jordan Pickford's challenge on Virgil van Dijk was a red card, or do you think the referee was right to just flag it offsides? I, for one, I hate Liverpool with all my heart. Everybody knows that as a United fan. Same with Jose, but yeah, that's a red card all day. I have no idea how the referee didn't pick that up. Do all you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is shocking refereeing. And I mean, and yeah, as Sears said, they brought in VAR to shore up, huge errors and big mistakes and stuff like that. And yet VAR isn't doing that. And that's really problematic for the league. But give me your overall analysis on the game. What did you make of the game?
I thought it was fast flowing. Obviously, like all these games this weekend, I thought it was a great game. Jordan Henderson scoring right at the end. Obviously, questionable offside call, but we have to keep talking about Calvert-Lewin because he's just on a goal scoring streak right now. It's just amazing.
Absolutely, yeah, spot on. I don't think a single one of us in our predictions would have predicted that Dominic Calvert-Lewin would be flying away right now. And of course, it's only the beginning of the season and it's only October. But as of right now, I mean, he's walking away with that golden boot. And of course, it's only the beginning of the season, but he is flying right now. And just early this morning, of course, I think it was the Sun. And of course, we all know what the Sun is. The Sun just is not reliable in any way, shape, or form. I'm already seeing the transfer rumors. But multiple. One, of course, what do you know? English. What team could it be linked to? English striker, young. Oh, Manchester United, of course. Apparently, £80 million move, and same with Real Madrid are linked. Gotta love the mainstream media. Gotta love the mainstream media with all the brilliant rumors that they put out, the brilliant PR spin.
Do you think Carlo Ancelotti has like just something with bringing out the best out of strikers? Because I mean, even Higuain was, at his best under Ancelotti, right?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the most prime example is probably Everton's most in form and most important player right now. Under Zidane, James Rodriguez was just dead. He was not gonna be seen ever again. He was also poor under Rafa Benitez, but Ancelotti every time always got the best out of James Rodriguez, and he's doing the same thing here, and he's not even playing his natural position. And James is still flying. So, I mean, and that says something. And I definitely do have a friend who definitely is a massive, James Rodriguez fan. A small shout out to him because I know how much he loves James. And James has been brilliant this season. And hopefully, he'll still have a great season to come. Moving into the next game, Andre, going over to you. Southampton went to Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea, shockingly, drew 3-3 with Southampton. The most notable thing in that lineup was the goalkeeper and their center back pairing. And as I know I mentioned several times before, Kepa, Christensen, and Zuma, that's not good enough for any Chelsea side. Zuma, I think, can be okay at times, but he needs to be paired with the right player. Christensen, I have no idea how he still plays for Chelsea. In my opinion, he's just not good enough. And Kepa, you three already know all about Kepa. Again, not good enough. I don't know what happened to Monty, whether he got injured or not. But Andre, give me your overall analysis for this game here.
I mean, it's just confirmed what most pundits and neutral fans have said about Chelsea. Booming attack, clear potential, but just continuous defensive issues at the back. Wasn't good enough. You summed it up. Just those individually, it's not good enough. I don't know how tactically adept in defense Lampard is. There should be some question marks. Something needs to change there. Simple as that. If they're going to continue to be a threat.
Yeah, and honestly, when people, I've had friends who've been telling me, oh, Chelsea can compete for the title. I'm sorry, but Chelsea are nowhere near a title. They're miles away. Honestly, Chelsea probably have as likely of a chance of winning the title as Spurs do. Honestly. Actually, no, take that back. No, I'd say Tottenham as a far greater, with respect to Tottenham here, Tottenham have a far greater chance of winning the league, actually, because they've actually addressed all their issues. So, yeah. letting Tottenham fans off the hook here, because if I were to finish what I was saying, I'd be absolutely pummeled later for it. And last question on this game, Andre. Does this game really and truly confirm that Chelsea sorely missed out on spending that massive amount of money that they spent in the summer on a center back? Not just Thiago Silva and Malang Sarr on a free, but on a legitimate center back.
Yeah, I think they've sort of bought for the future. In a way, they've signed a lot of players, but we haven't seen the best of any of them due to injuries or just like Malang Sarr, where they're one for the future. Mendy's already injured again. Ziyech started off not too injured, so it's obviously it's premature. But I automatically personally didn't think Thiago Silva was going to be enough. So I would say on some level, yes, but overall to say it officially confirms it, I think it's still a little too premature. We may not see the best of them for a while.
Yeah, you make a good point there. And as you said, I 100% agree with what you said about the attack. It's definitely got potential. Timo Werner scoring 2 goals, and Kai Havertz, of course, Kai Havertz is getting better and better. He's slowly starting to show why he was worth that £70 million price tag that they paid. But again, Chelsea just have this habit now of just capitulating at the back. And Danny Ings yet again for Southampton. This is going to be something you probably see over and over again. Danny Ings, scoring again for Southampton. And, of course, Che Adams and Gianni Vestergaard netting for Southampton as well. Moving into the next game, and Sears, coming back to you, I can guarantee you weren't very happy about this, as your boys lost by a goal to nil to Manchester City, Raheem Sterling scoring in the first half. What did Manchester City do well, and what went wrong for Arsenal?
I think both sides were actually pretty poor. Man City just have clinical finishers. It was just tough for Arsenal. There's no creative players. I mean, we have Ceballos, but then that was it really. Willian, he's just inconsistent. That's the issue. One game he's amazing, the next game he's just not there.
Yeah, and he was playing the 9 too.
Yeah, it was kind of weird what Arteta did. He put Aubameyang left, Willian striker, Pepe right. Honestly, I knew he was going to start Pepe because of his performance the game before, but another disappointing performance, I have to say. Aubameyang, since he's last signed his contract, he's been a little disappointing, but, strikers have off and on form, so I'm hoping he can get back on form. But, besides that, I've just been really impressed with Ceballos and Gabriel.
Yeah, and as you said, Gabriel again with another immense game. Gabriel has been immense, and I said it a show before. He's that kind of center back that Arsenal have been crying out for a long, long, long time. He's a perfect fit for them, a perfect fit for the way Mikel Arteta likes to play out the back. And him and David Luiz, I think both those two are terrific in a 3. And looking at Arsenal, who's really to blame? Who's really to blame? Is it the players? Is it Arteta? Arsenal fan TV?
I don't think there's really like a set blame here. Obviously maybe you could say Arteta, different formation, different tactics. A little questionable playing Willian at striker. I know. See, the thing is, against big teams, what he likes to do is he likes to sit back, counterattack. The issue was that Man City scored so early that we couldn't really do that. So the whole tactics and formation was changed because of that. And I honestly think we should have started Lacazette. Lacazette I know he made that big mistake against Liverpool, but he's 3 goals in 3 games before, and he just hasn't been getting the start.
Yeah, and final question. I know all around social media, with this, and I just want to hear your opinion. What's your opinion on the Aguero situation? When during the game, Aguero, when he put his hand on the female referee's shoulder, and the FA were looking into if that was harassment of some kind or violent conduct or whatever you want to call it. I just want to get your opinions on that, because that's just been something that's so long spoken of. Do you think Sergio Aguero meant any harm with it, or do you think it was just maybe reactionary, habituary, and something that could happen to anybody?
reactionary, to be honest. I would be biased if I say something else should have happened there. Obviously, it was kind of weird that he did that, but nothing else should have been done there. It was okay.
Yeah, my question is just like I don't really know why he decided to do that. Like I don't think he meant any.
No, I don't think he did at
harm or
all.
anything, but it's
I
just
think
like I don't really know why he's doing that.
I think he's kind of like a classic gentleman. If you know Aguero, and if you
Yeah.
watch
He
the clip,
definitely is. He
yeah,
definitely is.
if you watch the clip again, you'll see that he's really yelling at the sideline ref. He's really pissed. I don't know if she gave some decision against him. So I think he thought I'm really yelling at a woman on camera that close, and I think he tried to like sort of, you know, just be a gentleman, like to try to cover the yelling. But it just came off really weirdly, and he just did it in a weird way. So I think that was my interpretation. I don't think he meant anything like sexual or malicious about it.
No.
I think in terms of punishments, I don't think it's there just because from the social media reaction, I think he's learned his lesson, as have all players, because that's in 2020, that's not a reputation you want to have.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, you know, on the pitch, off the pitch, you just don't want to have that reputation of, you know, of someone who's sexually active or something like that. That's just and for me, and I would be biased for saying it. I think Sergio Aguero, he really didn't. I really don't think he meant any harm by it. And yeah, I think as Andre said, yeah, I think the social media backlash, you know, would have taught him a lesson. But I just think, you know, what happened in that moment was weird. But yeah, I just don't think, you know, Aguero really meant any harm. I mean, he has a girlfriend, number one. Number two, I mean, and again, and Pep Guardiola said Aguero is one of the nicest people that he's ever met in football, outside of football. And yeah, I just personally don't think he really meant anything by it. Anyways,
That was it.
Anyways, I'm moving to the next game. And yeah.
No, I want to ask serious. I mean, even the City game, but like forgetting about it, Arsenal has still been solid. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that Arsenal will finish in the top 4 and get CL?
I would personally say 7. Obviously, we have some things we have to work on.
No, I think they'll finish in the top 4. I think they will.
Yeah,
I'm saying it myself. I think they will.
I think with the introduction of Partey, that's one of him and Gabriel, the players we definitely needed last season. And I think with Arteta, we could definitely do it this season. I'd give ourselves a 7.
Hey, serious.
What?
Did you really Partey hard? Did you really Partey hard? After the signing of Thomas Partey, like, did you really Partey hard after that?
All right, I'm just gonna leave the Zoom.
Yeah, but and anyways, going into the next game, Jose, you and I are smiles all around. Manchester United finding their form at the very least after what was an absolutely unacceptable performance before the international break against Spurs, beating Newcastle by 4-1. Luke Shaw scoring an own goal in the second minute, which I was absolutely losing my mind how that even happened. It happened so fast. And then, of course, United, you know, responded right back. And Harry Maguire, of all people, and it's been a rough few weeks for Harry Maguire. And you could see in the way there's no celebration, no nothing. As he was telling his players to come on, hurry up, skip back to the other half of the pitch. He scored off of a glancing header. And then late into the second half, Bruno Fernandes with the goal. No, not a penalty. He actually missed a penalty. And then Aaron Wan-Bissaka with an absolute scorcher, and Marcus Rashford finishing off another counter attack. Jose, what did you make of the result for us?
Well, it was exactly the result we needed. It was certainly probably a turning point this season, I hope, for Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, and it was definitely a great game from Bruno. He scored one. He had even though he missed a penalty, he scored one, and he had another one disallowed, and the one he had disallowed was beautiful as well. For those who didn't see it, I think he played a 1-2 with Mata and then finished from almost outside the box, top corner. So it was
Yeah,
really
Mata
nice.
was great. Yeah, he was
Mata
great. He was really
Mata played
good.
really, really well. Also, I think he's gonna be. I think he'll be an asset for us this season in a few games.
Yeah, I think you said it there spot on. And I think Mata. People have heard my thoughts on Mata. I think he's old and he's passive. But the one thing I've always said about Mata is that, I mean, when you play him with with the Daniel Jameses and the Gallos, I mean, it's not going to be to his benefit. But I mean, if you put him in with a Pogba or Van de Beek and Martial and Rashford and Greenwood, I mean, I because being the kind of techie the techie player he is, I think he can make things happen. And especially against teams like the Newcastles. Like, I think he's very effective in those kinds of situations. And last question on the game. Why did you think Solskjaer chose to play players, like Dan James and sure, Mata, I guess you could say, Luke Shaw instead of Alex Telles, Scott McTominay especially, instead of players like maybe Alex Telles or Mason Greenwood?
Well, I'm interested mainly in the fact that Van de Beek didn't start. I thought that he should have started. I don't really know why he didn't. But I think Solskjaer really likes the midfield duo of Fred and McTominay. He used it again today against Paris.
Yeah,
So,
and I was so happy. That was such a great performance.
Yeah, me too.
Even though we got dominated by PSG, I was still very happy with that, with the result. Solskjaer does it again in Paris.
Yeah.
As soon as Van de Beek came on in that match, that's when change happened. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. 1-1 when he came on, 4-1 when he finished the game.
I honestly don't get why he hasn't started a game. He deserves to start.
Against Newcastle. I was surprised, and you guys were lacking, and when he came on, that's the difference.
Yeah, and again, I think this is one thing that's going to really, really hurt Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's his constant favoritism thing, and it's something that bothers every United fan. I mean, today and against Newcastle, Scott McTominay, I'm sorry, but he was poor. He was really poor against Newcastle. And especially today against PSG, Neymar ran him ragged. He was really, really poor. He was all over the place. And especially, and when you look at Fred was great against Newcastle, and he was great again today. And but against Newcastle, of course, Ole took him off. And this is not the first time. It's happened many times. And I feel a bit sorry for Fred. And it's really unlucky. And I think that's something that if Ole really wants to take the team forward, that's something he has to take out of his game.
Obviously he's obviously known as a nice, polite figure. So is it favoritism, or is it more just like not being like ruthless enough when it comes to those selection headaches? Like, is he just not decisive enough?
I think it's more.
No,
he knows. He dropped Paul Pogba. I think
he's dropped him 2 games in a row.
That's pretty ruthless.
He dropped Lindelof against Spurs.
Yeah.
He clearly can do it. He's definitely ruthless enough. I think he will drop players.
Yes, he has favored teams, and he tends to stick to them. But I think he needs to be more
realistic.
He needs to adapt more to games.
Yeah.
Oh, I also wanted to ask, what do you guys make of the rumors of Mason Greenwood and Brandon Williams not making the team for Newcastle because they were drunk the night before?
I mean, there's definitely been some weird locker room stuff with your team. We have Wan-Bissaka.
Definitely has.
Yeah, we have Wan-Bissaka today.
So much, yeah.
I mean, for me, for the few things I saw about Wan-Bissaka, I'm not saying I'm protecting him, but I really haven't seen much. I really haven't really dove into it too much. But by the looks of it, it's definitely not doing Aaron Wan-Bissaka any good. And when I look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he definitely just seems like the kind of person who's and especially we saw it before lockdown, humble, quiet, very family oriented, very focused. He doesn't really seem like the most. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the person who's gonna constantly be out of the house or something like that. Is always partying and something like that. He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. I mean, am I wrong? I'm just saying. That's what I've always known Wan-Bissaka to be.
You just personally don't know him though, that's
yeah. I mean nobody truly knows. The media might put out one thing, another sector media might put out another. But yeah,
I mean, you could have just learned it from Ryan Giggs. You never know.
yeah, 100%. I don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is gonna, or maybe had done something like that. Yeah, at the moment, it's not really looking too great for him. Moving right along into the next game, though. Sears, Sheffield United played Fulham at Bramall Lane, and that score finished 1-1. A goal from Ademola Lookman on loan from RB Leipzig, and Billy Sharp from the penalty spot. What did you make of this game?
It was obviously like two teams that weren't, I don't think anyone here watched it. I obviously went back in the highlights and watched it, but Fulham they're struggling a little bit, honestly. I know the owner told the team, I know there's people complaining with the club. The owner told the team they're trying to sign center backs. I know they have defensive liabilities, but that's their first point. So I mean, I guess that's a positive, but they're gonna have to keep up their form if they want to survive in the Premier League, because right now them and Sheffield are both tied for 1 point along with Burnley. So they're really struggling out here right now, especially Sheffield.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, I think now in terms of my predictions, I think without Dean Henderson, I think Sheffield United could go down. I think they could go down without.
I would have said it, but now I think I'm leaning towards them going down. I mean, but probably after Fulham, I would say Sheffield have been the poorest or the least to get excited about.
Or West Brom, I'd say those three probably.
Yeah.
Or now looking at it, I kind of changed my predictions a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, going into the next game, Jose, similar to Fulham and Sheffield United, Crystal Palace and Brighton played out to a 1-1 draw. Zaha scoring for Palace, I think. And for Brighton, goals scored by Alexis McAllister. What did you make of the game?
Well, it was supposed to be a typical Roy Hodgson Crystal Palace performance. I mean, they had one shot on target the entire game, and it was just the penalty.
Oh, Lewis Dunk got sent off, by the way. I said Lewis Dunk got sent off for Brighton.
At the end of the game. And Brighton getting saved by a late goal by McAllister. And I mean, it was just Crystal Palace. They score early. They try to sit back, but they couldn't do it this time. So only got a draw. Yep,
it sums up perfectly. Going to the next game, and I know Andre was over the moon about this one. Tottenham, after 16, 17 minutes, go up by 3-0. Heung-min Son and Harry Kane firing twice for them. And then out of nowhere, David Moyes pulling out of the bag 3 goals to tie this game. And Tottenham go Spursy once again. Goals for West Ham, goals from Balbuena, Davinson Sanchez with an own goal, unfortunately, and Manuel Lanzini. And my word, what a strike that was. And Andre, what went wrong for Tottenham on that day? Was it actual schoolboy horrendous mistakes, or was it just the typical case of the Tottenham's typical case of bottling it and being Spursy? What would you say about this?
I'd say before this last match. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I would say before this last match, I would say, there are about 1,000 profanity words that I would rather say before I say the word Spursy unironically.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was feeling when we played you.
Yeah. After the last match, the mentality wasn't good enough.
I was shocked.
They slept. They were asleep. They got far too complacent for much of that second half, and it ended up finally, setting in the final 10 minutes. So it was devastating for sure. I mean, I think I saw Tottenham are the only team that can start and end a title challenge in 90 minutes. So it was really weird. But going on the optimist side, I mean, Harry Kane, I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal. Yet another amazing assist.
Heung-min
got
Son again.
nutmeg Declan Rice for his goal, then got the header. I mean, at this rate, he could honestly get like 20 goals, 21 assists. It's crazy the amount that he's putting up right now. So what worries me is that he's in that form. Our attack is booming. We're in a top form, and yet things are still going wrong. So I think that's the most worrying thing. So mentality-wise, it needs to be better. Second half, we need to keep pushing. That's where it just wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you get Spursy with the Davinson Sanchez own goal, a free kick at the end that wasn't a free kick. It was just everything went wrong after that. It was just finally set in. But we're used to it.
Want to know what my favorite part was about the game, and I'm not even bantering Spurs. Who got the person who got the assist for the third goal? Yay! Hinatsu got the assist for the third goal. Oh yeah, Region.
Beautiful cross, by the way. I mean, he was
Region.
So energetic on that.
I wonder why I'm talking about Region.
Yeah.
Glazers again. Our Ebenezer Scrooge owners at it again. Moving right into the next game, Jose. Aston Villa got a last-ditch win at Leicester with a goal from Chelsea loanee Ross Barkley. What went wrong for Leicester, and what went well for Aston Villa?
Well, I mean, Leicester and Aston Villa, I mean, it was pretty even. They both had even shots, even possession. Neither team could really take their chances until Ross Barkley saved the day for Villa. So I mean, it's really this game was only down to the brilliance of one player. It was a really nice goal outside the box, bottom corner. It was really nice.
And a question to add on to that: how good a result is this for Aston Villa? And what does the manager Dean Smith, Captain Marvel Jack Grealish, who's phenomenal at the moment, and the rest of the Aston Villa players need to do to keep up their form, mentality wise, tactic wise, personnel wise?
Well, just pick up where they left off. Honestly, I mean, they've had a definitely really good defensive performance today, or in that game. But they've also got some brilliant players like Grealish and obviously Barkley now. So I think they've got a good chance of finishing fairly high in the table.
I mean, and speaking on Ross Barkley, and I'll say for the longest period of time, I used to banter this guy because this guy was great at Everton, and then he was not good enough at Chelsea. Like I would watch him for Chelsea, and I'm just like, why is he even playing for Chelsea? I mean, if I were Ross Barkley at the end of the year and I'm still playing the way I am, I would leave Chelsea. He would 100% get back in the England squad, 100%, because at the moment he's one of the best English midfielders right now in form. And whatever people want to say, I stand by that opinion. He's red hot in form like Grealish, and he's been phenomenal for the 2 games that he's played. I just wanted to drop that in, and hopefully Ollie Watkins will pick up where he left off. And as you said, Jose, about that defense, Mings and Konsa, that defense just gets better and better and better by the day. I think that's going to be crucial for Aston Villa and I think now looking at Villa, I think their objectives are going to change. Instead of avoiding relegation, I think their new objective is going to be finishing top half of the table if they can keep this up. 100%. I think they can, definitely.
I was going to ask that. Do you think, do you guys, all of you think that Aston Villa will finish in the top half?
If they keep their consistency, I think they 100% can. I think they top half easily. Definitely. Maybe even Europa League. I mean, that could be pushing it, but maybe even Europa League. I think Villa are better than Wolves at the moment. I definitely think they are. Wolves have not been convincing. In terms of competing with the top 6 sides, I definitely think I don't know. The worst teams of the top 6 could fall off. We all know Manchester United and their lack of consistency. I think and Aston Villa aren't going to be scared of teams like that. They're really not, and they're going to go at these teams. I think 100% they could potentially get a Europa League spot. Maybe even win an FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Who knows? And going into probably the most boring game of the weekend, Andre, West Brom and Burnley tied 0-0 for the first game of the season. What did you make of it?
I think a weird one. Definitely one of the more boring matches. Very tame. Each side had, I would say, one very good goal scoring opportunity. I remember Chris Wood had a really great chance, and then with a header that I think he put over the bar. I think it tipped it. Then the other one, Burnley were really saved by some Nick Pope heroics. He made, I don't even know, maybe like a triple save. I don't remember what it was, but Pope was definitely ready, primed and ready for that. Um, so I think Burnley have scraped by a little. I would say they were a little more fortunate to come away with the draw. I think they'll be more pleased with it.
Yeah. I think what he puts it sums up perfectly. And question for you, Andre: Do you think Sean Dyche? And we all know how good of a manager he is. He's definitely well respected throughout the Premier League. He's gotten Burnley through saved them from relegation. I mean, they finished I think top half of the table. I think last season. I think they finished top half of the table. So I mean, he's done a terrific job with them. But do you think he's really starting to get frustrated with the owners in terms of kind of like what Rafa Benitez was like at Newcastle when he was there? Lack of signings, lack of investment, and do you think he'll stay in a job?
Yeah, I certainly think he has right to be. I think the fans have been backing him as well. Um, so it's hard for me to see him getting the sack, at least not this season. Um, hope all we can really do is, I think, hope that the board give them a little more credit, get a few good signings. They just need a little bit of sizzle in their attack. They'll always stay solid defensively in that 4-4-2. Yeah, I think that's all we can do is hope that the board backs them.
Yeah, Burnley definitely needs some investment, 100%. And West Brom, I really don't know what to say about West Brom, to be honest, to you and to our viewers. I really don't. Just all I could say is, I don't know, another typical West Brom performance. Slav Bilic, um, uh, being the defensive-minded coach he is, I'm not budging on that on his defensive tactics, and yeah, it's kind of all I have to say about West Brom.
Weird if we've gone defensive against a side like Burnley, but whatever. We'll see where they are.
And Andre, sticking with you for the last game, Wolves went to Elland Road and they grabbed a 1-0 win at Leeds United. You could probably guess it. Goal scored by Mr. Raul Jimenez. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, intriguing match tactically, I thought, because you're dealing with two sides that are, both poised to be very good in their respective ways, but in very different, with two sides with very different approaches. Leeds were outdone. Wolves were, they've slowed down. Obviously, they're not as productive as we'd expect them to be, but they're now 2 wins in a row. Raul Jimenez, if you look at the position that he started off for that goal, he was all the way on the right flank and he dribbled his way, finally faked the shot, took it, was fortunate with the deflection, but God, did he deserve it. Wolves, yeah, I think they deserve to come away with the win. They had a goal counted offside too, a brilliant volley from, can't remember who it was. I think it was Seiss. Yeah, that's all. Leeds were outdone. I think their pretty footballers didn't work against a side like Wolves this time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Nuno's counterattacking football just worked absolutely to perfection against, Bielsa's more systematic, more tiki-taka, like kind of play.
It reminded me of the Manchester derby last season.
100%. Yep. Jose, spot on. Absolutely spot on. It absolutely reminded me of that. Solskjaer with his, brilliant counterattacking plans. But of course, if that were Mikel Arteta, it would be in Arteta's masterclass rather than just parking the bus and hitting on the brake. And of course, everybody would say, Ollie, park the bus again, PE teacher. As I was saying, I think what Andre said was perfect. Nuno Espirito Santo, in my opinion, is this younger Jose Mourinho, did the classic, 3 at the back, really hit Leeds on the break, and Leeds definitely did struggle at times. They definitely did struggle, and Wolves are slowly finding their form again. And maybe this is a turning point for Wolves just overall. I definitely still think that team desperately needs investment though, 100%. Anyways, moving into the final segment of our show, and what is it? Of course, our match day 6 predictions. And Jose, I'm gonna start off with you. Aston Villa versus Leeds United. For me personally, I think this is going to be I think Aston Villa could narrowly win it, but I think this is going to turn out to be a draw. What do you think?
I think probably a comfortable Leeds win for this game. I think Bielsa's football is gonna undo Villa, and I think it's gonna be the start of their sort of more of a rocky road for them. So I think it'll be probably like a 2-0 win for Leeds.
All right. And Sirius, what about you?
I have to agree with Joseph. I think that as well.
And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Aston Villa have obviously done incredibly well so far. Number one in the Prem right now. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure they've gone against a side that has been at the top of their form. Whereas we may have that this weekend with Leeds.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it'll be even. It'll be really interesting for neutrals, I think, to see how it'll come out. I'll go a draw as well.
all right. And it's the next game. West Ham hosts Manchester City. Now, as good as West Ham have been terrific since that assistant coach took over, they battered Leicester, they battered Wolves, they drew with Tottenham. They've had some really good positive results. But to be honest with you, when it comes to Manchester City, I think that's just a whole different level. And I think Pep Guardiola is finally at last getting his team to click. I know it's been difficult for him over the course of this season and consistently last season as well. But I think Manchester City, especially within the quality that they have, I think that that 3-man defensive, Cresswell and Ogbonna and Bob Wayne, it's just going to get torn to shreds by Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez, Sergio Aguero. Yeah, I think Manchester City definitely win here. Jose, what do you say?
I almost tempted to go for a West Ham win, but I think I'm going to go a draw. I think that West Ham will play on the counterattack, and I think they'll do fairly well. But I think it'll be a draw.
Sirius, what about you?
I think I'm gonna go Man City, to be honest. I think I don't think it's gonna be like a full-blown game. I think Man City will win 2-1, 1-0.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. It's not going to be the most convincing performances by Man City. It definitely won't be. But yeah, I think they'll just it will be a difference in quality. That's what I think. Andre, what do you say?
I think you look at where the head is mentally of both City and West Ham. West Ham got to be buzzing after drawing with us after their big wins against Leicester and can't remember who it was. Wolf. City not great. They sit in the bottom half. I think if City bounce back against Porto in the Champions League, then afterwards I think City can bounce back mentally and put out a strong performance against West Ham and ultimately come out with the win. So I'll go City.
All right. Next game, Fulham against Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will win this one. Both teams quite defensive, but I think Crystal Palace just has more key players to throw into the equation. Of course, we all know Wilfried Zaha for Palace, Alexander Mitrovic for Fulham. But I think Wilfried Zaha will again, carry his team to another 3 points. Jose, what are you saying?
I would agree. I think that Fulham are going to be weak on defense, and Crystal Palace will probably score early and just hold their lead.
Definitely. Sirius, what about you?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's always going to be too much for them.
And Andre, what about you?
I think any side in the Prem would be disappointed to drop points against Fulham, so I'll go Palace for the win.
All right. probably the biggest match of the weekend. And I think the two sides who I think will just be level in terms of just morale and form at the moment. One definitely higher than the other. Manchester United hosting Chelsea. Now, the thing is, it just depends what Manchester United come out. It depends what Chelsea come out. If this Chelsea team come out with Kepa and Christensen and Zuma, I think Manchester United will give them a smashing of a lifetime. There will be no chance for Chelsea. But if Manchester United, if Oli does the picking his favorite thing, if he starts Maguire and Lindelof, if he doesn't play Telles, if he plays McTominay and Dan James, I think Chelsea will run us ragged. If we try and do the three at the back, as you know, we've done now 3 times already against Lampard, I think Manchester United will lose. But to me, I'm really not sure about this one. I really am not sure. I mean, I'll go with the draw, but it just depends on which team shows up. It really depends. Jose, what are you saying?
Well, I'm really excited for this one. Both teams very good on the attack, not so good on defense. So I think it'll be a great game to watch. But we also have to think about how Chelsea, coming off of the back of 2 consecutive draws, I think they drew today against Sevilla and they drew last weekend, obviously.
And Manchester United with 2 huge results, Newcastle and PSG.
Manchester United going to be full of confidence. So it really could go either way. I think it's I'm probably leaning towards a Chelsea win, unfortunately. Not too happy about it.
Keep in mind, and Chelsea, to further dwindle their confidence sake, they drew Sevilla, I think, at home. So really not looking good for Chelsea. Hopefully, Martial and not Martial, whether it's Rashford or Cavani, get to have the formidable challenge of going up against Zuma and Christensen and Kepa. Sirius, what about you?
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Joseph. I think that Chelsea are gonna win because they've had 2 bad results. I feel like they have to come back, have to do something. I feel like their attack is too much for Man U's defense. I know Tuanzebe and Wan-Bissaka played well today, but I just don't think the center backs can handle it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also, I hope to see Peter Cech, get in the game.
He'd probably do a better job than the Kepa is at the moment. He'd definitely be better than Jordan Pickford or Adrian. He could probably walk into all 3 teams at the moment, to be honest with you. And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I think Davis, you're spot on about it depends on who shows up. It really does.
Yeah.
These sides have been to neutral fans pretty inconsistent. Anyway, so yeah, I think I was going to ask you what you thought of if they go 3 in the back, similar to they did against Paris. You're clearly not a fan of it. I think United might have a more solid defense. So I'm going to go with United. And you guys have the quality clearly up front, but also you have the quality players to hopefully win the midfield battle. So I'm going to go with United.
Yeah. Again, as I said before, I think I'm assuming Harry Maguire will probably be fit, despite a magisterial game from Bruno Fernandes. I think Oli will choose to stay loyal to his captain and will give the captaincy back to Harry Maguire. As much as I disagree with that, as undeserving as that is for Bruno Fernandes, hopefully he does retain it, but I think the pace of Timo Werner is going to be an absolute nightmare for United, especially if they do an extremely pacey combo of Maguire and Lindelof, because we all know they have a lot of pace. Maguire and Lindelof, no, they don't, unfortunately. Timo Werner is going to run them ragged if that happens. Going to the next game, Liverpool host Sheffield United. I think Liverpool will take this one every single day of the week. Sheffield United, as we mentioned earlier in the show, I think are now candidates to go down. They're just such a poor side overall. really nothing convincing. I don't think I feel sorry for Chris Wilder a bit because he did such a good job last season. But Sheffield United are nowhere near the same side that they are now. But yeah, I think Liverpool will win this comfortably. Jose, over to you.
I agree. I think Liverpool are going to win this one. It should be fairly easy for them, I think.
Sirius, what about you?
I have to agree. Sorry, I was a little laggy. I have to agree as well. I think they'll definitely dominate and take the win.
All right. And Andre, what about you?
If Liverpool drop points against Sheffield United, it just seems too good to be true. So I'll go Liverpool for the win.
All right. And right before we go to the next one, thank you, Sirius, for coming on. And I know you have to go, unfortunately. You've been all throughout and all equal here. You've been absolutely brilliant, fantastic today. Of course, we'll definitely we'll be missing your absence for the remainder of the show, and we hope to see you back again next week. It's been, of course, a pleasure having you today, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you so much, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
I was touched as a child.
Okay. And I really just, I really just don't know what to say about that.
How about
Serious,
you,
just being
show
serious.
some sympathy and wish him the best in his recovery. God.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Andre. All right. Anyways, keeping with where we're at, Southampton host Everton. As good as the result Southampton had against Chelsea, Everton, I think will give them a smashing of a lifetime. I think they will win comfortably.
Walcott going against his former club. That should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think I give it to Everton. I think they'll cover the
We'll give it to them as well. I think it should be fairly comfortable for them.
Yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin's gonna have a nice time against he'll have a nice time against the extremely fast Jannik Vestergaard. I think he'll have a nice little.
I heard a stat last weekend that I think Calvert-Lewin is the first Everton player to score.
Yeah.
To score in the first 5 games since like something like
1930s. Yeah. That's phenomenal. If you're sure or not, congrats to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's a great achievement for him. I'm sure his parent club of Everton are probably very, very happy for him. And we hope to see him to continue to flourish throughout the season because he is turned into one hell of a good player. And no doubt at the end of this season, big clubs will be sniffing all around Everton for that man, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Next game. Wolves host Newcastle at the Molineux. I think Wolves with another lackluster and inconsistent performance will just help them get over the line, kind of like Leeds United. And let's be honest here, as well as their counterattacking did against Leeds, they were still really, really poor in a lot of aspects. And yeah, I think Wolves will probably just get over the line here. Jose, going to you.
This is an interesting one. I think both teams play similarly. They both like to sit back and then let some of their better players take over and score some nice goals. I think it'll be a Newcastle win, but it'll be tight. It'll be down to someone like Saint-Maximin or Callum Wilson getting a penalty or something like that.
Yeah. And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, sorry, it was Newcastle and who?
Newcastle and Wolves.
Ooh, yeah. Tough one. I don't know the history of them, of how it's gone when they've played before, but judging now, I think I'll go draw. Actually, I'm gonna go draw. I think it'll be
seven draws in their last 10 games. So
awesome. Okay, well, I'm looking good then. Draw.
Well, now think about it. I may change my prediction, but no, I'll probably stand by to what I said. I think if Wolves don't get over the line, it will probably be a draw. I just don't think Newcastle really have enough to. I mean, when you look at just personnel, I think Newcastle will get dominated in the midfield by, whether it's Leandro Dendoncker, Ruben Neves, João Moutinho, whoever it is starting in that midfield. I think they will dominate Newcastle. Their attack, I think, and the one thing about Nuno is that he's the kind of person that just rotates just too much. I mean, it's like every other game that I see Adama Traore on the bench. That's something I just don't get. I'd be expecting Adama to start every single game for Wolves. But I mean, to a certain extent, it must be that he has enough faith and trust in his players to actually deliver for them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, that's what we have to say about Wolves and Newcastle. It's a shame that Sirius had to go because the next game is Arsenal as they host Leicester City at the Emirates. I think Arsenal will 100% win this one. As good as Leicester may be in personnel, they've just been really poor. They've been in a poor run of forms, or maybe games that they won. It's been predominantly unconvincing. I really haven't seen Leicester been convincing at all this season since that 5-2 win at Manchester City. I really haven't, because right after that game, I think they either lost or drew their next game. I'm not sure. I can't quite remember. But yeah, I think Arsenal will win this one, especially when you look at player personnel and depth. Leicester don't really have a lot of that. And Arsenal, the one thing I will give Arsenal is that Mikel Arteta has depth. He definitely has depth. You look at that midfield, you look at that attacking force, even in defense. I know, right? Arsenal having some depth in defense. I know it's kind of surprising to everybody how on earth they actually, have some decent depth in defense. But yeah, I think Arsenal will win this one, definitely. Jose, over to you.
Unfortunately for Sirius, I think I'm going to predict a Leicester win. I think they've got some pacey forwards, and you could give the likes of David Luiz and Holding a hard time. I mean, neither team has gotten. I don't think either team has gotten a result in a few match days now. So both are in need, and I think it's gonna be tight. But I think Leicester will win just by playing like through balls or over the top through balls to Jamie Vardy or someone else.
Wait, but didn't Arsenal win their last game before Man City, or am I wrong?
Didn't they have Liverpool and then Man City? No, they had someone else. That's right.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Was it West Ham?
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it West Ham?
West Ham was before.
It was Sheffield, and they did win.
Yeah. So Jose goes with the Leicester win. And Andre, what about you? Will you give me a biased answer, or will you give me a legitimate answer?
No, I haven't shot on Arsenal enough this episode. So I'm really hoping that Leicester can come away with a win. But I actually think I'm gonna give it to Arsenal. I think Leicester is still missing Soyuncu in defense.
Definitely, that's a huge miss for them.
Yeah, so considering that, I think I'm gonna give it to Arsenal for the win, unfortunately.
And quick question here: do you think and we've seen Arteta now use his back three formation since like the back end of last season, and some results it goes well, some results it doesn't. Do you think this game will be, as Arsenal fans call it, another classic Mikel Arteta's masterclass?
No, because they're not playing against a team like Manchester City that likes to play on the front foot like the entire game and just likes to pass and play beautiful football. I think it works best against teams like that.
Andre, what about you? Do you think this will be another brilliant Mikel Arteta's masterclass, or do you think Mr. Sirius will see otherwise?
I'm expecting an Arteta's masterclass.
And all of our Arsenal fans watching this, hopefully Arteta can pull another Arteta's masterclass, as they call it on Arsenal Fan TV. Moving into the next game, Brighton host West Brom. I think that's both teams definitely play similarly. Both play defensive. Both hit teams on the break, but Brighton will win this one. I think quality-wise, or quality was when you look at West Brom, I think the only two players who can really just take out of it is Mateus Pereira. I think is a decent player, and the young lad that everybody was what's his name? That everybody was annoyed at West Ham when they sold. Mark Noble was really mad. It's Grady like Diagna or something like that.
Grady Diangana.
Yeah. I think when you look at those two are quality players. West Brom quality. We're talking about West Brom quality. And when you look at Brighton, they definitely have these players. They definitely have a solid foundation in their defense. Although they lack depth, they definitely have some solid center backs. Although they'll be missing Lewis Dunk, they still have Ben White, they still have Webster, who I think is pretty decent. I don't know who will come into that third center back slot because I know Graham Potter likes his three at the back. But yeah, I think Brighton will take this one. Jose, what do you think?
I agree. I think it'll be probably like a 2-0, 3-0 win for Brighton. Should be fairly easy.
And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, Neil Maupay to get a brace watch. No, I think Brighton will. I think this is their chance to finally get a result from the quality they've shown in attack. So they're missing people on defense. I didn't know that. That sucks. But yeah, I think Brighton will come away with it. And
speaking of Neil Maupay, do you think question for both of you? Do you think it will be it'll be a convincing performance by Brighton, or do you think it will be more like Maupay's won it at the end?
I think it'll be convincing.
And Jose, what about you? Do you think Maupay will win it at the end, or do you think it'll be convincing?
I think he may score. He'll score along with other people, or it should be convincing.
All right. And our final game we're going to take a look at is Tottenham as they go to Turf Moor and they play the Tiki Taka Burnley. I think these two in a way, especially now with Jose at the wheel, I think that these two in a sense have a similar style of play, saying in the sense that they're definitely both physical sides. I mean, under Pochettino, Tottenham really were more of just like a systematic kind of team. There really wasn't enough of that. I don't know how to say it, whether it's enough like enough cojones, or like enough sort of enough of like a battering kind of attitude or whatnot. But yeah, Jose Mourinho has really got this team now playing to the way he likes. And which he said in his, which I quote him from the Tottenham documentary, Tottenham play like a bunch of smart bastards, as he said. And we've seen that from Jose Mourinho with every team. Always making tactical fouls, always just I don't know, doing little things just to get the other team riled up.
Elbowing promising French strikers.
Exactly. Don't even get me freaking started on that man. I don't even want to name it because I'll start going on an absolute rant if someone even dares mention his name because
Messi.
Yeah. Him. I'm just gonna pretend nobody ever said that. But yeah, I think Tottenham will definitely win this one. I think Harry Kane, considering the form that he's in, considering the form that he's in, is no longer just the penalty king or the penalty box striker. He's now just Jose Mourinho is. I don't know. He's transformed his game. And to be honest with you, and people are going to say that I'm deluded, but I'm going to say I think Harry Kane is one of the best strikers I've seen in a long time play under Jose Mourinho. Just the way he's transformed, I think he is the perfect kind of striker for Jose. He was targeted by Mourinho at Chelsea. He was targeted by Mourinho at United. I know for both, especially the first summer when Ibra left, we needed a striker. He definitely was wanting Harry Kane as well as his new favorite. And no, not Tanguy. I'm talking about Eric Dyer. But yeah, I think Tottenham will win this one. Jose, what do you think?
Well, yeah, as much as I wish Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes would both score hat tricks in this game, I think
exactly.
I think Tottenham are going to win this one, especially because they drew their last one.
And of course, Andre, over to you. Will your boys get the result, or will Burnley get a scummy win with Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood at the wheel?
No way. It's not even. They're not gonna get a result. We've always gotten a result against them. Last year, Son dribbled past them. Kane got a banger in that same match. So with the form those two are in, they're just gonna continue to shut on everybody. If fantasy PL people, if you don't captain Kane or Son this week, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I think it'll be a resounding win. I think it'll be comfortable. So yeah. I think
Andre,
we'll
you
win.
sure?
I'd be surprised if we don't come away with it.
You sure? You sure? James Tarkovsky and Phil Bardsley, might not, like cause a couple problems.
Yeah, they won't be able to contain Kane and Son, sure.
I don't know. Phil Bardsley's pretty good. That Lowton too.
Sure,
Pretty
but we
good.
put 6 past United. If we can bouncing against West Ham every single side, we're scoring. It's gonna happen against Burnley, guaranteed.
Yeah. But yeah. With all seriousness, yeah, he's spot on. Yeah. But I think Tottenham will absolutely breeze past Burnley. But I will say in all seriousness, I think the one challenge Tottenham will face is just I think that because Tottenham now have this new physical element, but it wasn't super. It wasn't as keen, or didn't use it as much during the season. But I think now they're playing against against a Premier League team who's literally nothing but about physicality in Burnley. So I think that's going to be really, really keen. Whether it's whether they put Sissoko in midfield or Winks or Højbjerg or whatnot. Well, any final thoughts before we end the show?
Kane for Ballon d'Or.
And pretend
Not while he's playing in the Europa League.
Exactly. And Manchester will win the Champions League, of course. No, I'm joking. Anyways, we've reached the end of our show. We thank everybody for watching. If you would like to smash a like on the video, check out our channel, subscribe to our channel. If you want to keep in touch with us on Instagram, follow us at PL Primetime, and where you can get quality updates from the Fab Four amongst yourselves. Again, and wherever you are in the world, if you're watching this, have a great day or evening.